communities. In honor of Sandy Hook, in honor of Clackamas, in honor of Umpqua Community College, in honor of all of the countless victims and survivors of gun violence, we must continue to use our voices and our votes to end gun violence. Slowly but surely, change is coming, and I want you all to know that we are winning. Oregon is proof of the progress we are seeing on gun violence prevention. And that is why I am so honored to be joined today by Governor Kate Brown, a national leader on gun safety, who earlier this year signed a bill to require criminal background checks on every gun sale. Governor Brown.
Good afternoon. I am here to say thank you for coming out on such a cold, windy, and wet day to honor the victims and the survivors of the senseless gun tragedies that are sweeping our nation. I am here today to honor the victims of Sandy Hook, to honor the victims and survivors of Clackamas, and to honor the victims and the families of the Umpqua Community College. These incidents have changed our lives forever. As your governor, I was so pleased and proud of the Oregon legislature for moving forward on a comprehensive background check. Let's give our Oregon legislators that are here a big round of applause. I was so pleased to sign the comprehensive background checks bill into law, and I was also pleased to give our judges and our courts more tools to keep guns out of the hands of domestic abusers. Unfortunately, there's much more work to be done, and I look forward to working with legislators like Jennifer Williamson and Ginny Burdick in 2016 to move Oregon forward on more common sense gun legislation to prevent these tragedies. Are you with this? Yeah. Thank you. We need your support and we need your help. I am so pleased to be here at the beginning of the Orange Walk, but walking is not all that we can do. We must use our voices and we must use our votes. We must elect elected officials that will move forward with us, that will introduce legislation, that will help Oregon become a safe and beloved community. Are you willing to hold your elected officials accountable? Yeah. Are you willing to have your votes be heard? Yeah. Are you willing to use your voices to stand up for common sense gun safety legislation? Yeah. Well, you have my support. I will be a leader. I will work with your legislature and I will sign the bills that come to my desk. But we need your support. I look forward to working with you. And now I'm so pleased to turn it over to Portland's Mayor, Charlie Hales. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you all so much for being here. You know, these are dark days. They're dark days in Roseburg and Paris and Mali and San Bernardino and on the streets of Portland. We've had 173 gang violence shootings in our city this year. 173. A terrible new record year. We've had 67 people injured and 13 people killed just in gang violence. And as your mayor, one of the hardest things any mayor has to do is visit the bedside of a wounded police officer. And I've done that more often than I'd like to admit. And I've visited the bedside of LeBray Franklin, a young intern in my office who was shot outside of his high school a few blocks from here. That's so fundamentally wrong that 3 school kids were shot outside of their high school. We must do better than this. So these are dark days. And every time one of those things happens, this thing goes off on my bedside stand. And there are 2 gentlemen here that are seeking this office. And I hope and pray, Jules and Ted, that you'll have a lot quieter nights, because that's the way Portland should be. But days of hope and amazing action. And we should say thank you again and again to Jenny Burdick and the other leaders in the state legislature in Oregon who had the courage to do something. Let's hear it for the Oregon legislature. Let me make a connection that on this cold day and on this different topic may seem strange, but I was in Paris last week. And I was there with 500 mayors from around the world. And I was there because the people of those 500 cities demanded action. They said, we must come together on this big, intractable problem and do something. You know what? All those activists all over the world, they were influential. Those mayors were empowered. Those cities are doing things. They went to Paris and told their national leaders, come with us down this path to a better future. And they've done it. They've moved the bar. They've changed the world in what they've done in Paris. And that is what you can do on this issue. Activism drives leaders to act. See, once again, the amazing progress in the Oregon legislature. And we can change these dismal statistics. This is not normal. The status quo is unacceptable. Is it not? It is unacceptable. So I am empowered and encouraged by seeing what can be done, what was done in the last session of the legislature, what has just been accomplished in Paris. Don't stop demanding action. If you keep doing it and get 3 of your neighbors to do likewise, you will get that action. Thank you so much for your activism.
Thank you, Governor Brown and Mayor Hales, for your leadership. I am inspired every single day by our final speakers. Despite extraordinary personal tragedy, they have all channeled their grief into action to prevent other families from experiencing that same pain. It's a call to action I'm quite certain I would not be able to answer, but I am incredibly grateful that they have. First, I'm honored to introduce Paul Kemp, whose brother-in-law, Steve Forsythe, was killed in a Clackamas mall shooting 3 years ago. Since that time, Paul has been an advocate for gun safety and has worked tirelessly to pass the background check bill in Oregon. Paul?
I guess first I'd like to say it is a great turnout. Thank you, everyone. I'd also like to thank everyone who's traveled great distances to be here today, and all the local folks for taking your time to come out. We're here today because the tide is turning. 3 years ago, the victories we are seeing today would never have been possible. That is because of all of you and the work you are doing every day to demand change from our elected officials at all levels of government, to end gun violence in our schools, on our college campuses, in malls, in movie theaters, on live television, and in our neighborhoods every day. This is a deeply personal issue for me. On December 11, 2012, my brother-in-law Steve was shot in the back of the head and killed in Clackamas Town Center Mall. Steve was a good man. He was a loving husband, a caring dad. He made time to coach youth basketball and football. My last memory of Steve was a celebration for my son's 16th birthday. When I look at those photos, none of us knew that 2 days later Steve was killed. I'm a gun owner and I'm a hunter, and I enjoy taking my son hunting. I'm also a strong supporter of the Second Amendment, but after my brother-in-law was killed, I knew I couldn't sit by and let another family go through what ours had. I knew I had to get involved and fight for stronger gun laws that will protect our families. I joined the Everytown Survivor Network and became an advocate for stronger gun laws. I've never been worried or concerned that the government was coming to take my guns away. But what I am worried about is my daughter. She's a public school teacher here in Oregon, and my son is a college student. I'm worried about them being shot in their places of learning. Raise your hands if you've ever had to do a lockdown drill or an active shooter drill in school or college.
Wow, yeah. I guess they do that
Honestly,
routinely.
I'm sorry to see that many hands raised. I never had to do that. I'd like you to let your elected officials know that those drills should not be part of our children's education. We need to do everything to make sure our kids and our teachers are safe in their schools. And that means doing more to keep guns out of the hands of dangerous people in the first place. That's why here in Oregon, we worked hard this past year to become the 18th state to require criminal background checks for all gun sales. I'm proud of the work we did here, but the time for national action is long overdue. We know that the majority of American voters, including the majority of gun owners, support common sense gun violence prevention measures like background checks on all gun sales. To reduce gun violence in America, we need to exercise two very important rights. First, we have a right to vote. We must vote at every election for candidates who support reasonable gun laws. And second, we have a First Amendment right to free speech. So contact your state and federal legislators. Let them know you're holding them accountable for every vote they cast regarding gun laws that make us safer. You can text the word Senate to 644-33 to see how your senators voted last week, and call to thank them and hold them accountable. My work in this movement is far from finished. In fact, it's just begun. And I'm honored to continue to work side by side with all of you. At this moment, I'd like to introduce Kimberly Pickton with Portland's Enough is Enough.
Again, thank you all for being here on this Oregon Day. You show the spirit of not just Portlanders, but Oregonians. We show up, don't we? Yeah. There you go. I want to first acknowledge and send condolences out to the Roseburg community and remind them they are not forgotten. I see you. I see you.